Hello again, chaps and chapettes. How are we all doing? It is lovely to see you all again. As always, we've got a rather interesting ploy tonight, my dear friends, from the press. What's basically been happening here is the brother of Axel Rudiger Barner has been attending a meeting in Liverpool regarding what happened that horrible day in Southport. And the reason this is an interesting ploy is because I've seen it done many times throughout the years, particularly from certain publications such as the Mirror, the Guardian, the Observer, and various other leftist lib shitrags, where they portray the perpetrator of a crime to a certain extent where you're suddenly feeling sympathy for the perpetrator as opposed to the actual victim. You see it if you Google any kind of case that involves a foreign criminal or some kind of migrant from one of these publications throughout the years. You will see the wording that they use. Oh, it's not his fault, it's where he came from, it's his upbringing, he doesn't know any better, that kind of a thing, to sort of force you to pull on your heartstrings for a fucking savage. And it makes my teeth itch, my dear friends. So without further ado, let's see what this brother has been saying, shall we? Axel Rudiger Barner's brother has revealed how his family lived in fear that the merciless murderer would unalive them all. Dion Rudiger Barner gave evidence to the Southport inquiry about his relationship with his younger brother for the first time on Tuesday. He described his family's fear of his brother and his angry outbursts, adding that his tendencies remind him of the sociopath murderer played by Javier Bardem in the film No Country for Old Men. Very good movie, by the way. Dion told a hearing in Liverpool Crown Court that his outbursts, which were often violent, originally took place in the car on the way to school and worsened once his brother was expelled in October 2019. I'm sure you're all well aware of why Axel Rudiger Barner was expelled from the school, so I'm not going to touch too deeply into that. The 21-year-old, who was present via a video link from a remote location, called his brother's behaviour unpredictable and inconsistent. I don't believe the Rudiger Barner family deserves the positives that being in some kind of witness protection program will grant them. And I'm going to explain to you why at the end of this relatively short article, my dear friends. Dion was diagnosed with a neuromuscular disorder aged 12 and became a wheelchair user, something which he said his brother resented because of the increased attention it granted him. Perfect poster boy psychotic behaviour, by the way. Resenting a sibling to the extent that it turns violent. He told the hearing Axel would regularly hit him and he became increasingly wary of his brother. Messages between Dion and a friend in December 2022, when he returned home from his first year at university, were shown to the hearing. In one, he said the risk of him doing something potentially fatal is the major concern. He told the inquiry there had been various events where he had to call the police out where the indications were there. Another message read, the fights became scary because of the danger of someone dying. My brother doesn't really show mercy. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Look at them poor little girls that he mercilessly slaughtered. So my dad just tried not to die. We hid knives to mitigate the factor. Counsel to the inquiry, Richard Boyle, asked if Dion generally believed his brother would kill a member of your family, to which he responded, if things escalated to a certain point, yes, I do. Now, the real reason I don't believe this family deserves the positives of anonymity is because I think they have a brunt of the blame. They had all the indications for years upon years, the fear that their own flesh and blood could potentially unalive them while they slept. They have to hide knives and put them under lock and key simply to keep this animal under control. They had the police out numerous times. The police also have to bear a brunt of the blame for what happened to those poor 3 little girls. Now, I can understand in a certain way that it's going to be very difficult to shop your own child. Me and my missus have had a discussion about this before. If my son ever did anything heinous, like an armed robbery or something along them lines, would we be able to turn him into the police? And after much umming and ahhing, yes, I do personally think we should do, because A, we'd be accessories after the fact and we got down with him as well, and it's just a moral thing to do. If the writing was on the wall, They could see it all if their lives are in danger, and they can see that this animal was a psychopath for years upon years. Then they have blood on their hands too, which also means I don't believe that they should be put in some kind of witness protection. At the very least, if you had fears about one of your own children, you'd at least have them certified by a mental health expert, some kind of psychologist, to put him in some sort of like mental institute if he's that fucking unhinged that you are living in fear under your own roof. But no, they just put the fingers in their ears, covered their eyes, made sure they were all right, and that was that. You see, if they did go down that route of trying to have him medically certified, mentally unstable, or whatever the fucking terminology is, maybe those young girls in Southport would have lived another day, to go to another dance class maybe, to play with another toy, to have one more Christmas with their family and loved ones. But alas, no, because of their ignorance to the fact that this animal was a stone cold killer, those little girls have had their lives cut short in the most hideous way. I mean, his father himself even had to stop this psychotic piece of shit from going to school with, what was it, like a hockey stick or whatever it was, or some kind of implement, to go and attack his teachers and his fellow classmates. This kid was mentally unhinged, and it was on the cards for fucking years, and these people did nothing about it. Like I said, I'm not talking about getting him arrested and getting him sent down. Send him to a psychiatrist. Any psychiatrist or psychologist worth their salt can spot a psychopath. As easy as that. But no, nothing. They're just interested in self-preservation and bollocks to anybody else who falls victim to this fucking animal. That's my video, my dear friends. Please do let me know what you think in the comments. Carpe diem as always, and I shall see you in a bit. Cheers.